Lauren Jade! I can hear your footsteps. Can you settle down, please?
I can't hear the footsteps, just so you know. Oh, man, the wheels are falling off.
You heard that.
Watch them.
What is up, everybody? And welcome back to the Schooling Struggle Podcast. It is our belief that the only guarantee in life is that we are all going to struggle, and how we choose to embrace our struggles is what empowers us to become the best versions of ourselves. How's it going? How's it going? My name is Pete, coming to you from my basement in Heartland, Vermont, and with me is my co-host and friend, Todd Ellis, coming to you from Washington State. What is up, Todd?
Long time no see, Peter. I'm doing all right. It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, we haven't recorded in a couple of weeks because of a bunch of different random things like vacations and sicknesses and all sorts of things. But we are back in action now, and I'm super psyched to be looking at your bearded face, watching you write your notes as I'm talking.
Scribbles abound.
Yeah. Scribbles abound.
Mm-hmm,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last time we chatted, you mentioned a race that you're jumping in on. I thought that sounded pretty cool. I thought it'd be cool for the listeners to hear what it is that you're up to. So if you would share with us what you're up to next, I'd be psyched to hear. I'm always interested in the cool, fun things that you're challenging your mind and your body with.
Yeah. So the next race is it's called the Ragnar Relay. So they have a series of relays. This one is called the Northwest Passage. So it's a 12-person running relay from the Washington-Canada border south throughout the islands and some of the mainland of Puget Sound. 2 vans, 6 stinky guys getting no sleep and running constantly.
So one person runs while the others rest and drive the van, and then you meet, tag off, and then the next person runs?
Absolutely. Yep.
And how many legs will you be doing?
I do, the standard is 3 legs, but we're one runner short, so it may be up to 5. I'm not sure. Turns out I'm running the second hardest leg, of course, what I always get stuck with. So I'm like, that's
the 3 a.m. shift going straight up the hill.
Yeah, pretty much. So I mean, I don't mind, but it has one of the coolest legs. So I don't know, but yeah, I wasn't really ready to sign up for 25 miles over no sleep and very little nutrition, but that's okay.
So for those that aren't aware, this race is basically you just start and the race doesn't stop until your team crosses a line. And so you're running through the night and you're running through some sketchy footing and different stuff like that. And it definitely makes for an exciting adventure, especially when you're in your late 40s, Todd.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing my age into it. I like that, Peter. That's great.
I felt young. The other night when you said, oh, you couldn't record because your grandchildren had showed up.
Yeah, they're here, actually. They might bring their little ginger heads in and pop in the camera at some point. There's really no telling.
For those that have never seen Todd, I have posted a couple pictures of him on Instagram, but he is a true ginger through and through, in face and in head. So awesome. All right, I want to get into it.
Okay.
Speaking of my age, I was standing in my front lawn the other day watering some grass seed that I planted this summer.
So old.
Actually watering a lot of grass seed that I've been planting this summer, and I've been obsessed with getting this grass to grow. And of course, it hasn't rained here in a couple weeks, and it's just a battle to keep the grass alive. And given all the money we'd spent on it, my goal is to keep it alive. And I found myself being a little bummed out with myself. The reason why is because I feel like I've put much too much mental energy into what my yard looks like. And then I started, I'm sitting there watering, I'm thinking about what are some other areas of my life where I probably put too much energy and effort and attention into this thing when in the grand scheme, this thing probably doesn't really matter. And then I became kind of disappointed with myself as I started to come up with places in my life where I probably don't channel my energy appropriately. Like I could be spending more time and energy investing in my family, and instead I'm out there watering the lawn or caring about this other thing. So then the natural process for me in the last 10 months has been, oh man, this sounds like a pretty cool episode for a podcast. So I texted Todd and I said, hey, come up with 3 areas of your life where you think that you could use a higher level of mental strength, or 3 areas of your life where you tend to get rattled easier than you want to get rattled. And frankly, it really bums me out that I put so much energy into the 3 that I'm about to list today. And I'm wondering if just a conversation might be able to help me with some of that, or might be able to help the listeners. And if we can come away with any tactile or tangible actions or thoughts that we could put forward to maybe not care so much about this stuff. So I have my 3. Do you have your 3, Todd?
I have some. I have more than 3, as a matter of fact, but
I'm learning in 10 months in doing this podcast with you that there's a lot of ish, because I'm pretty to the line with a lot of things, pretty concrete, and I need more ish in my life, so it's good for me.
Well,
so,
good thing I have extra helpings of ish for you, because that's how I roll. I know I mentioned earlier to you before the show started that today you're getting a special. Usually Peter and I do this in the evening, his evening, my late afternoon, and by that time, I've had plenty of time for my ADHD meds to roll all day long. And today is going to be a special episode for everyone to see how my mind works.
So I'm excited to hang out with the unmedicated version of you. This is great.
Yeah, be careful what you wish for. But go ahead. You want to start?
So I'm going to start out kind of on the lighter side, and then it's going to get a little bit more serious as we go. All right. And I actually wanted to bring this episode to light because you've shared some pretty vulnerable things about yourself and some things that flow through your mind. And I have a feeling that I'm going to get fairly vulnerable by the end of this one too. But I'm not going to start there.
What a treat.
Okay. So an area of my life where I feel like I put too much energy and I get rattled way too easy, and it's not worth getting rattled about, is with being a fan of sports teams. And growing up, I was a fan of many, many sports teams, and I really rode the highs and the lows of being a fan of this particular team or that particular team. And as I've gotten older, and some might say more mature, most wouldn't, I've kind of started to shed that. I've cared less and less about how sports teams perform. And you've heard me share in the past that sports teams is simply rooting for laundry, right? If the guy that you're cheering for has your team's jersey on, you're cheering for him. If he doesn't, you're cheering against him. And there's really no more or less than that. But I found that, well, I believe that we as humans really want to feel connected or to feel part of something. So we connect with and we identify with these sports teams that really they don't care about us. And we ride the highs and the lows of how they perform. And those that have known me for a long time know that way back in the day when I was in 3rd grade, the first football game I ever watched was a Los Angeles Rams game. So this was before they moved to St. Louis. And I became a Rams fan, and I bought the Eric Dickerson uniform, and I went out in the yard and ran around and played football. And ever since then, I have been a Rams fan. And I was always a little counterculture. And if everyone around here was loving the Patriots, I was going to pick the team that was the furthest away and cheer for them. So that was why I became a Rams fan. My allegiance to the Rams kind of stuck there for whatever reason. Over the years, they moved to St. Louis. I flew out to St. Louis to watch a game, and I've just become a Rams fan. And I kind of ride the highs and the lows with that. But my life really doesn't change at all, regardless of how they do. It's just in my mind. So I went to LA last week as part of a vacation that my family and I went on, and I felt the need to go buy a Los Angeles Rams hat. And then I felt the need to take a picture of myself in the hat and remind everyone on Instagram that the Rams are the reigning Super Bowl champion. Why do I care so much that I feel the need to do this type of thing? And when the Rams won the Super Bowl in February, I was so elated, and I was just the happiest human being because my team scored more points than the Cincinnati Bengals, which is so, I don't know if you really think about it, or if I really think about it, it's really kind of weird. And aside from the Rams, I pretty much dropped my allegiance to all the other teams I used to follow. However, this spring and early summer, the Celtics made a run in the NBA playoffs and made it to the NBA Finals. And I stayed up late every night and watched every one of those games and was just frustrated all the time because they were losing and because I was losing sleep and because I was up late. And it's just like, why am I pouring so much energy into this sports thing? And I have friends that say, well, that's absolutely normal. You should be doing that. Everyone should have a sports team that they follow. And then I have people that say, you know what? Yeah, that is a waste of energy. So I think one area of my life where I wish that I cared less or that I didn't get as rattled is with following some of the sports teams that I'm interested in. And you, coming from Seattle, where it's Seahawks crazy, be interested to know your perspective on this.
On sports teams, that's a funny thing. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know. It's so interesting to me to think that in 3rd grade you decided the team that's furthest away will be my team. I think who's thinking that in 3rd grade? Like, yeah, I got this. Oh, that's good stuff. I learn a little something about Peter every time we get on this thing.
And
sports
the
by
Rams
and
were
large
horrible. The Rams were
are.
horrible for decades. They were
Well,
officially
that's a
the worst
cute little
team in
water
the
bottle
90s.
you got there.
My daughters. Go ahead. Talk to me about your sports perspective.
What is that, like a 12 ouncer? My sports perspective has always been I don't care about sports. And only until maybe 4 years ago, I realized that, like, here's a perfect example. I used to go hiking with a group of merry men yearly, and all they would do, they couldn't wait to get to the camp spot. Like, we would hike up into the woods, and they could not wait to get there to unveil their new fantasy magazine and just talk football the entire time. And I could care less about football. So they clearly two bands of people, right? I'm the odd man out. They're talking about football the entire time. And they're like, someday you'll get there. And I'm like, this will never be me. And then, I don't know, fast forward 10 years and my wife enters this fantasy football league. And I'm like, really? Like, suddenly you're a football player, a football watcher? And then I watched her and our friends like have this glorious, like, every weekend they get together. It's like, she got the app and she's like, my team's going to win. And then I finally realized, like, oh, this is the hook, because you're vicariously competing through other people who, like, for that aspect of sports. I don't know if that's the same for you, because I don't know if you do the fantasy thing or not, but I could see that, like, oh, that's a game to get into where the investment is made in a group of players who are way better than you'll ever be. So I get it. But then, they would just get together and drink. And I was like, that's really what the reason is. And so the next year I played and I'm like, oh, this isn't so bad. And so I played for 2 years, but it's still like, I don't know.
I often come back to the fact that the human condition is that we all want to feel noticed and enjoyed. And when we're noticed and enjoyed, we're connected, right? So these things, sports teams, fantasy, all these things make us feel connected in some way, shape, or form. I have friends that say their only positive memories they have of the relationship with their parents was watching whatever team connected them with their family. So the connection to the team is much deeper rooted than the connection with the team. And if you think about like international soccer, how intense and how big of a deal that is. I went to a rivalry game when I was in Brazil, and it was a really fascinating experience. There was army with machine guns in the stands separating the two groups of fans, And so there's, I don't know, inherent within us, is it this wanting to feel connected? Is it this feeling of competition? I at least feel for me innately, I'm wired to be competitive, and there's that piece of it as well. It's a really, really fascinating topic for me in general, people's allegiance to sports teams, but I just wish I didn't care so much.
Yeah.
And like, I have not cared about the Celtics in forever, over a decade. And, this spring I was all in and staying up till 12:30, like 4 hours past my bedtime, and just like grumpy in the morning. I was like, this is just not worth it.
Yeah.
But then when the Rams won the Super Bowl, it was all worth it, so it's really, really fascinating to me. It's really fascinating.
Yeah. It's interesting. I never really noticed or thought about like what you brought to light, the layers of, I mean, obviously soccer is a little bit different because I don't know why it's different, but that's also interesting but I've seen some soccer games and like, people get trampled, like, and then it spills out into the street and then people are fist fighting and it's just a soccer game. Like, come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
So, it's interesting how that,
the stadium that I went to in Brazil is the biggest in Brazil, and there's no seats. It's just concrete slabs that go around, and there's a moat. There's a moat between the stands and the field, so you couldn't charge the field even if you tried.
Yeah, and it's weird. Wild. We went on a European tour with the kids when they were playing soccer, and we went to I think it was some huge venues over there, like Arsenal and all these other different places, and there's zero beer in the seats. And I'm like, what? Like in America, like it's even more interesting because when you go to watch soccer practice with your kids in the UK, oftentimes there's a bar at the pitch and you're just like, oh, I'm going to get some beers and watch the kids play soccer. But then when you get to the soccer arena, there'll be no beers. And there's must be a reason because people are going to get fighty and crazy about that.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
But
all right, I got to holler at my daughter one thing. Lauren Jade! I can hear your footsteps. Can you settle down, please?
I can't hear the footsteps, just so you know.
All right.
I didn't know Lauren's middle name was Jade. That's awesome.
So what was the first one that came to mind for you when it came to this topic?
Well, I think I kind of I don't know about misinterpreted, but I interpreted what you stated a little bit differently. But I think it'll come around.
So if you feel like you missed it, that's on me. That's my lack of
No,
communication.
no. I just read
So
things differently. I think that's fine. Having you explain your perspective of it helps me look at what I wrote down, and it's not any different. It's just I looked at it a different way.
okay,
So I think number one is the first thing I was thinking about when I read the question and then I reread it this morning was much like you, like what are the things that I notice about myself that I wish. I don't know if wish. What are the things that I know I do that I observe other people not do that I wish I could do differently? That's how I looked at it. Does that make
okay, I
sense?
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
bring it.
and so there's three things really that I thought about. One was constant procrastination. It drives me up the wall. And the other day, for example, I'm out in my shop, so I have a large shop behind my house, two car shop, giant, right? And I put all kinds of things in there. And I went out there yesterday, and every once in a while, I'll go out there and I'll start cleaning it up. And I'm like, I share it with my son now, and like he's always in there using my tools, and like I know enough about myself to know that I like things in a certain way, and I've tried to impress that on him, like put these things back because so I know where they're at because you're sharing my space. Anyways, I go out there and I like am cleaning things up, and I come across this pizza board. So I have this, like you have a wooden board that you put in the oven, and you grab the pizza off the rack, and then you put it, in your deal. It broke like 2 years ago. And I thought to myself, hey, I'll fix this. I'll drill some dowels in it, put some glue on there, clamp it, and it'll be done, which should have taken about 20 minutes. I just finally got to it the other day. And then at that point, then I start beating myself up about and looking around like, what are all the other things I've started that I haven't got finished? And this is a known thing especially with ADHD, but with me, it's really bad. And so then I'm like, oh, what else can I beat myself up about? So I just start looking around, and it just every little one adds a chip to my shoulder. And then before you know it, I'm just a powder keg, and somebody will come out and say something. I'm like, I'm just irritated about everything. And so that's one of the things that rattles me. But I don't know a way other than like maybe clearly prioritizing the things, or maybe just throw the damn board away, or it's like I don't know. So that's one of those things that I spend a lot of time once I'm in it. Like I spend a lot of time ruminating on why I'm that way and how other people aren't that way and what the difference is between that, and then I'll spiral pretty quickly. But yeah, that's one of the things.
It's interesting because I was sharing how I was watering the lawn. And I noticed that I was upset about myself for giving too much attention to this thing, and then it kind of spiraled into, well, where else am I putting too much attention to? That's a waste. That's a waste. And how you and I kind of spiraled, not together because we weren't together, but that happened to both of us.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Once you become aware, then you're aware of everything, and then it's just like, yeah, why am I not brushing my teeth fast enough? Where am I doing these things that are wasting my time? Because we feel like time is all we have, right? So,
yeah. So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
If you were to make a list of the things that you'd want to get done, not like a list of 200 things around your house that you want to get done over the next 20 years.
Yeah.
But like today, like what's one of those 10-minute things that I could do today, or one of those 20-minute things I could do, and you put that on a list, would that be helpful? The reason why I ask that is because I get manic. If I write it on a list, I have to do it. And then I stress the crap out of myself. Like, I'm not going to get anything on my list done today.
A list is a good, a list is a good, that's one of the one of the top coaching tactics. Hey, write that on a list. And if I could turn this camera around and you can see I have this monitor that's probably 24 inches wide by, I don't know, 17 inches tall. And everywhere on there is, here you go. Like Jim's walking deck. I need to do that. And that's been up there for at least 2 weeks. And that was due last Friday. So now you can start seeing why the show notes don't come on time sometimes. And then I'm like, oh, that's right.
I'm just curious.
Because I'll lose the list or I walk away from it.
A tactile piece could be, could you sit down in front of that mega list in front of you and write down 2 things you're going to do and don't go to sleep until those 2 things are done?
Yes, I could, but something I'll go in the other room and then the list is in my mind. And then I've tried, if I have a way to take a portable list with me, that's always like in my purview, then sure. But
yeah. And the digital doesn't work for me. I got to write it down and then I can cross it off. And for me, the feeling of crossing it off is amazing. This new fitness app that I'm using is 2.5 hours of working out every day. But every time you finish a piece, and there's about 8 pieces in each, you check the done box. Yeah. And that is just huge for me. Yeah. I love that. So I just said I can't do digital, and then I talked about how this app is working for me. So I guess digital does work for me. Never mind.
Does it have a glorious?
But I love crossing it out. Yeah. Or checking the done box. Yeah, that's huge.
Sure. Yeah, but on the other side of that, though, is, interestingly enough, once I get the pizza board done, then it's just game on. And then I'm like, oh, and I'm going to clean the gutters, and I'm going to do this other thing. And then by the end of the day, I feel so full of like, look how I just kick butt all day long, that I'm like, man, I got a lot done today. And then I start again, like, why don't you just do that every day? It's like, okay. So,
well, was it last episode you said your big thing for a lot of your approach to life is just start.
Yeah.
You know, and how you do that one thing and how it leads to others. But getting that one thing going is a really
story of my
challenging.
life. Yeah, but that's I don't know if that answers your question, at least in some way. But that's my number one.
Do you stress or spend energy about all the things you have to do? Like, does that get to you, or is like you don't really care if they get done or not?
It's only once I'm in it. No, that's not true. Like, it depends on what I feel a priority is on it. So I jest about the show notes, but it really drives me nuts because I'm so far behind now that I'm like, no, really, you need to get this done. And I try to hold myself to a pretty high bar of, if I say I'm going to do something, then just go do that thing. But sometimes I just don't get it done. And then I'm like, and now I'm too behind. Right. And so then it's just like, oh, here's a perfect example. I just got my taxes done. Congratulations to me, right? But then I'm like, oh, and you owe $4,000. And I'm like, oh, God, that's exactly how it should go. See what you get? And I'm just like, oh, man. So it's like, my kids get $2,000 back, and I'm over here spending $4,000. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's the universe telling you should have done your taxes.
Just to give a little context, it's the middle of July. So if you're listening to this episode at some other time in the year, Todd got his taxes done by the middle of July.
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you.
And he's referring to the show notes. We try to release a podcast every week. And Todd just become bumped up against a couple of things. So we're a little delayed in getting those out, but we're good to go.
I'll own that. Cool. That's me.
So my number two, I've already let the cat out of the bag, but living up here in Vermont, I've noticed that generally speaking, and people may disagree with this, but generally speaking, the amount of care and attention that goes into the aesthetic exterior of one's property is not to the level that it is in suburban Massachusetts, where I grew up. So I grew up in a neighborhood where everyone's grass was green and their bushes were trimmed and there weren't weeds in their gardens and those types of things. And up here in Vermont, it's just more free, just kind of let it go. A Vermont lawn is just, there's no grass seed or anything. It's just a bunch of weeds and you just mow it once a week. That's what I learned when I moved up here. And I still have that suburban piece in me, whereas I want my yard to look a certain way. I want my property to look a certain way. And I live on a dead end road and there's only 4 houses past mine. So it's not like anybody sees, and the 4 houses that live past mine, they don't care about what my yard looks like. And they're great human beings and they're awesome neighbors. And I don't want my yard to look nice for other people. I don't think. I want it to look nice for myself. But then if it's only for myself, like what's the point of spending all this time, money and energy into how the outside of my house looks? And I spend the large majority of my summer months just taking care of this so it'll look a certain way. And when my friends come over, I talk to them about it and they think I'm silly for wasting time, but they're also compassionate knowing that I grew up in a different location. And it bums me out that I care so much about how the outside of my house looks. I wish that it didn't consume so much of my mental energy. And I'm like, do I really care about what other people think that much, where it like consumes me this much, or is this for myself? And I actually don't know the answer to that. I think it's for myself, but maybe there's an insecure piece of me that is driven by other people. I don't know.
What about the interior of your house?
I'm neurotic about that too. It's just hard with a 6-year-old.
Yeah. Is it worse than the outside or is it equal?
To maintain the inside to the standard that I'd like it doesn't take nearly the amount of time and energy that it does the outside.
Well, there's a lot more outside, right?
Yeah, we have 4 acres and a pond that needs to be kind of taken care of, and there's some, gardens and stuff like that. But you never hear anyone say this about living in Vermont. The winter is awesome because there's no yard work. You hear people complain about shoveling, but I have come to learn that I love the winter because there's no yard work. So I'm really, really grateful for the winter months. And just to hold on and get it all done in the summer consumes way more of my energy than I want. I really disappoint myself. And like, I'm a teacher and I have the summer off, and my summer off should be free time, recharging time, reloading, resting, getting ready for the next school year. And I spent an inordinate amount of energy and oftentimes negative energy with my house. Now, I share with you that I started my athlete training program, and I'm taking that money that I'm making from that and paying someone else to do some of the yard work, not all. And that's been super, super helpful. And so I'm trying to be solution-based person when it comes to this. And this is the first summer that I'm charging for training and just paying that money out to someone to come do the work. So that's been helpful. But I'm still spending a good amount of my own time doing it as well.
Let me ask you this. And congratulations on the training and getting somebody to help you with the yard work. You've been talking about that for a long time. In the person that trains, that helps you with the yard work, do you find that you're like, you can do all these other things, but not this thing? I'm going to do this thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Maybe what you should do, this is just a suggestion, to flip it over, is let somebody else do that thing that you hold so tightly and begin to let it go that way. Like, hey, today I want you to do this instead. And I'm going to do the more mundane, whatever it is over there. And then see how it turns out. Because if it turns out okay, then you're like, I don't really need to do that at all, because why was I putting so much energy into that?
Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, I prioritize it. Like, what are the things that I least want to do? All right, he's going to do that stuff.
Oh, it's just the least. It's not like so when you approach the house, this has to look better than this. You go work in the backyard, I'll do the front yard. It's not like that.
It's the jobs that I enjoy the least, I've had him do.
Oh, that's fair. Yeah.
And as I make more money, he'll do more of the jobs
that makes sense.
I'm doing. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that there might be something you're like really holding on to because it's something that you're more proud of than, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. Yeah. There's certain jobs that need to be done like once or twice a summer, and then there's just the regular weekly maintenance. Yeah. It's just finding a balance between those two.
Yeah. Thank you for the weed whacker. By the way,
Todd hit me up and said, "Hey, what weed whacker do you have?" And I said, "I have a really good one." And I gave him the
that's the FS94
make and model, and he's loving the steel. Yeah.
Oh, dude, that thing's so awesome. Yeah.
And that thing is so low key compared to most of my friends that have like the double handled trigger finger.
I don't know. Those
weed whacker with detachable blade and power broom. Yeah. All right, what do you got for number 2?
Power broom. I forgot.
So I can't wait too much about my lawn. There you go. Boom. Done.
Yeah. Good. Way to sum that up.
And and then a lot of my friends are incredibly environmentally conscious, and they'll tell you that such an insane amount of water is wasted in the United States or in the world in general.
Oh yeah.
Simply for watering grass, and that's just simply for aesthetics, for no functional purpose, and it's such a waste. And I'm like, yep.
I digress, but check this out. I have a tree in my backyard. I'll send you a picture. It's a black locust. Actually, I think they grow on the East Coast. They're mostly from the East Coast, and they came here as an invasive tree species, but they're pretty cool. Anyways, I have a tree in my backyard, and it's called the black locust. And over the last 10 years, I've noticed that the top is starting to die. And and so I know a guy, and his name's Danny Kanzler. Went to school with him. And he's a tree expert. And I said, hey, Danny, why don't you come over and check out my tree? And he says, all right. And he comes over and he looks, he's like, yeah, you should probably fell that because it's, the top's dead. And if it blows over, it's right on the intersection of 4 different fence lines. And I'm like, okay, well, how much is it going to cost? Well, it's going to be like $3,800 to chop this tree down. I'm like, that's ridiculous. So we're not cutting the tree down, right? We're going to look at other places. So I talked to the local extension, Washington State University. They have a place in Puyallup. And I said, hey, send me a list of the arborists around my house. And I want to get somebody out here that knows something about trees other than cutting them down for profit to tell me about this tree. So I contact this guy, this eclectic fellow shows up at my house and is just like, you can imagine his head's in the trees, and like everywhere he's going, like I live next to a plot that's pretty forested, and he's like, oh, look at this oak, shouldn't be growing here. And I'm like, okay, let's go back to the tree that we want to look at. And so
I see why you're having trouble getting the show notes done.
Yeah. And so he gets back there and he's looking at this tree, and he's first thing where I live, there is tons of rocks. Like it's the outfall of a glacier many years ago. And there's like not boulders, but, basically softball size rocks everywhere you go. And we've just spent decades, and the person before me just put all of the rocks that come up, in the property back around this tree. And he gets back there and he's just like, no. He's like, you need to get all this away from here. He's like, you're going to kill this thing. You're killing it right now. And I'm like, okay, look, is the tree going to be savable or is it not? And he's like, once you do all these things, what you need to do is water this tree. And I'm like, listen, man, it rains here almost more than anywhere in the world. You're telling me that this tree is like in drought state? And he's like, well, this is actually from the East Coast, and there it rains in the summer, and in this summer it doesn't rain at all. And so this thing hasn't had, and I'm like, listen, if I need to water a tree, it's going to cost me more. I should just cut it down. And he's like, you'd be doing a disservice to all the trees around here if you cut this down.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So that's how it goes in my house. So I'm watering the tree now. I watered the tree the other day for a while, and yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'd like to save the tree, but anyways, that was the sidebar on the plans.
Huh. Well, I'm going to continue with the sidebar. last week when we went on our family vacation, we went to Hawaii, and it was really cool. We took a helicopter tour of the island, and I got to see a lot of the locations where Jurassic Park 1 was filmed.
No
I
way.
think it's a really cool movie. It was really cool. But the eucalyptus tree is an invasive tree to the island, and it's actually kind of like when you watch Jurassic Park and you see the trees, those are the eucalyptus trees. They look like they should be there, but they're invasive and they're just everywhere. So I went to the island of Kauai, and what they do is they cut the trees down. They can't use them for lumber. They're not strong enough. They're not structurally sound to do anything with them other than cut them down and chip them up and then use them for energy. So 60% of the energy that the island consumes comes from the chopping of these eucalyptus trees. And another big percentage comes from solar. So it was kind of neat to hear kind of how sustainable they are with their energy utilizing these invasive trees. Now, obviously, they don't have to heat their homes in the winter like we do in Vermont, so it's probably a different level of energy use, but I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because my mind went to firewood. Good connection there. I've been like, no, we don't need that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool. Interesting nugget. Yeah. Okay. That's your number 2. Yeah, my number 2 is adopting irritation. So I see this all the time, especially when my grandkids are around. So my wife and I, we have began to enjoy the fruits of our own labor with no kids here. And so you wake up in the morning and everything's right where you left it, and the sink doesn't have dishes in it, and things are the way that we like them. And when kids come, it's all bets are off. Like you'll find things where you never thought you'd find them anyway. But it doesn't always have to do with kids.
That's my life with a 6-year-old right now.
Yeah. Well, there's a 4 and a 2 here, so you can imagine. And then the 19, that's even worse. But, but what I notice is we both have an irritation that rests around that. But I can clearly see that when she gets irritated, it amplifies my irritation. And then before you know it, I've adopted things that she's irritated about, which I normally would either not care about, or I would just, like, I would point it out to her, like, why are you irritated about that? And then it becomes mine. And I'm like, why am I shouldering the load of your irritation just because I don't know why. I'd spend a lot of time getting rattled about that. Like, who am I to adopt your irritation? And why is it that your irritation is irritating me to the point where now I'm doing something about it just to try to support your irritation? It's very complex, and I've stepped back and I've looked at, well, why is that? And the only thing I can think about is because she realizes, or I realize, these things, like the things that are irritating her, will build up into this one point where we both would be irritated about like the result. Does that make sense? And so, like, again, like I have no way to unwind that, but at least I have the awareness to realize when it's happening and then just like go, oh, I'm going to go walk around for a while and get out of this irritation trap is what I call it. But yeah, that's my number 2, is adopting irritation.
I guess one way to look at it is it's a form of mental weakness because you're letting someone else's irritation irritate you. But I think on the flip side of that, you're actually carrying the burden of someone you care about. And I think that speaks to, well, you tell me, does it speak to the love that you have for her? Like the fact that this thing is irritating her and you take on that burden, so it irritates you, and in a way that makes you a supportive partner?
I don't know, because by the time my irritation manifests, it's not helpful. And she's like, why are you irritated about that? I was like, well, because I just watched you go through the same thing. So it's almost...
I would contend that you irritate because you care. If you just didn't give a crap and her irritations were just blasé on you, I think it would mean that you cared less.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I've never looked at that. I'll investigate that, but nonetheless, it does happen.
Yeah. I've noticed that things that would never bother me, that bother my wife, when I see her bothered by them, I carry that burden.
Yeah.
I just give I could give many examples, but a really simple one is she's a self-described, or what's it called? When you proclaim that you're something.
Self-proclaimed.
Self-proclaimed. Yeah, that's the word.
You got it.
She's a self-proclaimed germaphobe. I would call her a germaphobe as well, but since she calls herself a germaphobe, I'm comfortable saying that. And car keys and phones on surfaces where food is either made or served is really hard for her. So like if someone comes to the house and they visit and they come and they just put their phone and their keys on our counter, not really thinking about just Yeah,
exactly the same thing.
That's really hard for my wife. And then she doesn't know how to manage it because she's like, she doesn't want to be rude and ask them to move their phone. And she doesn't want to pick up their phone and their keys and move them for them. So it's like,
this
kind of weird thing. And I know she's uncomfortable as long as the phone and the keys are sitting there in a place where she would make food or serve food.
Man.
And so, yeah.
That's so funny yeah.
Or another one for her is if anyone reaches inside a chip bag with their hands, like for her, the chip bag needs to be poured into the bowl and then you eat the bowl of chips. But if we're somewhere and she wants to have chips and I see someone reach into the bag, that's a hard deal breaker for her. She won't eat those chips. And I'm like, oh, and I carry that. I'm like, oh, she didn't get the chips before someone reached their hand in the bag.
Oh man.
Like, those types of things.
Yeah, that's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about.
Okay. Yeah. And those things would never even cross my mind to bother me, but I'm bothered for her.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Check this out. One time we were having carpet done, I think, or the cable guy was coming over, and my oldest son, Quentin, he's now, I don't know, 24. He was probably like 8. And I remember we don't wear shoes in our house, and it's just like a rule, like the shoes stay at the front door. And the cable guy came in and had his boots on and like clearly just came through the yard, walked right in, didn't even put the booties on, and just walked right in the house. And Quentin, I remember looking at him at the door and he was just like, and and I was like, what? And he's like, he's got his shoes on. I was like, well, tell him if you don't like it. And I watched that battle in his head with like, much like your wife, like, what am I supposed to say? But what's even stranger is that we instill those things. Like she got that from somewhere, and just like you with the Massachusetts lawns, like you adopt that from someplace, and you may or may not know where it came from, but that is an interesting point to reflect on.
Yeah, things that bother us. Huh.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the time, and my number 3 is kind of a heavy one. It's kind of a big one that I think could actually be its own episode.
Oh, you can't keep running away from these things that scare you, Peter.
So I think I'm going to here just for time's sake. I think let's do our number 3s in the next episode.
Okay.
And we can get into it then. I think because I feel a little bit of a time pressure, and I want to really dive deep into it, and I don't want to cut it short.
No problem. Fair enough.
Yeah. So stay tuned for the next episode, and we are going to be bringing you our number 3s, which for me is a little bit more personal and a little bit deeper than sports and lawns. So I'll bring it to you then.
All right.
Awesome. I always appreciate your thoughts and insights.
Same.
For those out there that are listening, we are so grateful for your ears. We appreciate your time, and we so thank you very much for your attention. Stay strong. We are the Schooling Struggle Podcast. We are out.
See ya.